give. This is the second video of session 5, and we'll start with Cim Contract of Carriage. By Cim Contract of Carriage, the carrier shall undertake to carry the goods for reward to the place of destination and to deliver them to the consignee. It means for a contract of carriage under CIM to be established as so, the goods, the forwarder or the sender or the consignor must be doing so for the sake of reward, not for free, because there are issues in there that establish certain liabilities. The clause 2 is the contract of carriage shall be confirmed by a consignment note which accords with uniform model. However, the absence, irregularity, or loss of consignment note shall not affect the existence or validity of the contract, which shall remain subject to these rules. The consignment note shall be signed by the consignor and the carrier. The signature shall be replaced by a stamp or by an accounting machine entry or in any appropriate manner. The carrier must certify the taking over of goods on the duplicate of the consignment note in an appropriate manner and return the duplicate to the consignor. The consignment note shall not have an effect of a bill of lading. It means it shall not be negotiable. A consignment note must not be made out for, a consignment note must be made out for each consignment, which implies there should be a separate consignment note for each consignment. In the absence of a contrary agreement between the consignor and carrier, a consignment note may not relate to more than one wagon load. It means there must be a consignment note for each wagon. So if you have 3 wagons, you must have 3 consignment notes. Now, the CIM packing and handing over of goods, which is different from CIM contract of carriage and then the contractual framework. This is CIM packing and handing over of goods. When a railway accepts goods for carriage showing obvious signs of damage, it may require the conditions of such goods to be indicated in the consignment note. So which means if the freight forwarder or the consignor has loaded the cargo and has handed over to the carrier, and the carrier finds out there is anything wrong with the loading, it may require the conditions of such goods to be indicated in the consignment note before the train takes off. When the nature of goods is such as require packing, the consignor shall pack them in such a way as to protect them from total or partial loss and from damage in transit, and to avoid risk or injury to damage to persons, equipment, or to other goods. Moreover, the packing shall comply with the provisions in the force at the forwarding station. Remember, forwarding station refers to goods where station serving as where goods are accepted for shipment or transport. The consignor shall be liable for all consequences of the absence of packing and shall in particular make good any loss or damage to the railway from this cause. The next clause is in the absence of any particulars in the consignment note, the burden of proof of such absence of packing or defective condition of packing shall rest on the railway. So the carrier has a right to say whether the packing or loading was defective or not the consignor. So you have to be careful as forwarders. The handing over of goods for carriage shall be governed by provisions at the forwarding station, and loading shall be the duty of the railway or the consignor according to provisions at the forwarding station, which means whatever the provision is at the station which serves as where the goods are accepted is what will prevail. If the forwarding station has provision that only the carrier loads, then the carrier would have to do the loading. But if the provision says the consignor loads, then the consignor would have to load. The consignor cannot decide. Freight forwarder does not decide. It's the provisions at the forwarding station where goods are accepted for shipment. When the loading is the responsibility of the forwarder, he shall comply by the load limits. Unloading shall be the duty of the consignee, right? Although the forwarder has to comply by the regulation and rules set at the forwarding station, when the goods arrive at the destination, the duty to offload the cargo from the wagons is a responsibility for the consignee. The consignor shall be liable for all the consequences of defective loading carried out by him or her, and shall in particular make good any loss or damage suffered by the railway through this course. The burden of proof of loading shall rest upon the railway. So forwarders have to be careful. If you have to ship goods on behalf of your client, make sure the loading is done properly, and then there are not cargo showing or protruding or in a state that would cause damage to any person. Because if the person is a railway staff or any other person, the liability will be on the forwarder or consignor. So care should be taken. And remember, it's the carrier that bears the burden of proof. CIM liability of carrier. These are liabilities for carriers, railway companies, that undertakes to carry goods on behalf of consignors under the CIM uniform rules. Transit period. The transit period allows 12 hours for dispatch and 24 hours for every 400 kilometers, which means if goods are to be shipped over a distance of 400 kilometers, the carrier has 12 hours for themselves to prepare and get the trains ready, and they have to deliver in the next 24 hours. In total, it means if goods are to be transported, it should be ready for delivery within 36 hours if the distance is anything up to 400 kilometers. That is what the transit period means. If the distance is beyond 400, when it's up to 800, then the transit period will be 12 hours for dispatch and 24 multiplied by 2 for addition for the transit period to be established. So if goods are to be shipped for a distance between 401 and 800 kilometers, it means the dispatch period is 12 hours, and then there will be additional 48 hours, which will bring the transit period to 60 hours. If it is between 801 to 1200, it means 12 hours for dispatch and 24 multiplied by 3, 72. So in all, there will be 84 hours to deliver goods to a distance up to 1200 kilometers. That is essentially what it interprets into. Now, the relief of liability. When the loss or damage of goods was caused by a fault on the person entitled, which the owner or the consignor, an order given by the person entitled other than as a result of the fault of the railway, inherent vice of goods, if goods would decay or go to waste, and then circumstances which the railway could not avoid and the consequence of which was unable to prevent. For instance, the use of open wagons and the absence of or inadequacy of packing, defective loading, irregular or incorrect or incomplete description of articles. we will look at the compensation for such losses. The compensation for loss of goods is set out here. It says the carrier must pay, to the exclusion of all damages, compensation calculated according to the commodity exchange quotation, or if there is no set quotation, according to the current market price. And if there is neither such quotation nor price, according to the normal value of the same kind and quality at the time and place at which the goods were accepted or carried for carriage. Means there are several ways in which the compensation could the value of compensation could be established. And the first one is, the commodity exchange quotation. If there is no such thing, then according to the current market price. If there is no such things, then according to the normal value of the same kinds and quality of goods at the time and place at which the goods were accepted for carriage. That means, the price of the goods at the forwarding station, not the destination. Compensation shall not exceed 17 special drawing rights per kilo.